back up a little bit. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this week. We are ecstatic to have you again. Oh, this is the month of forgiveness. And we in Lent too. I was like, oh, okay, it's all falling together. I didn't even plan all of that. I'm just tagging some people. Got to help Facebook out a little bit. And then after that, we will get started and get rolling. And then we're going to talk about this when I don't get an apology. I'm trying to contain myself. I'm trying. Oh my goodness. I've tried. But there we go. All right. And all right, they coming on. Good evening. How y'all doing? Hey, Nicole, glad you're home and feeling better. Hey, Carla, good to see you, my love. All right. Oh, they coming in. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Hey, Marcus. All right. Let me see. Okay, we are just rolling right along. I just thank God for what He's doing in this season, and just excited about spring coming. I'm ready for the change in temperature. I'm ready to move out of the cold to the warm. We had snow on was that Saturday? We had snow Saturday. But you in Colorado now, so you probably laugh at the little snow we get.
It snowed today.
Okay. Yeah, so you probably laughing at the little snow we get, you know. Yeah, we get a little, you know, I get my little 2 inches. I'm like, oh, it's snowing. Yeah. Colorado laugh at us, right?
Well, they were saying that this time last year they got 27 inches of snow here.
Oh my.
In one storm. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen again this year.
Yeah, that's a whole blizzard.
It's a lot. Yeah.
That's a whole blizzard. Hey, Miss Linda. Thank you, lady. Yeah, that's a whole blizzard. Okay. No, that was shut down DC for like a week. Did you say 27 inches?
Yeah.
That sound like the blizzard of was it
When it like 96 or 95?
No, we had another one though in 2000.
26.
2016 or
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the year exactly, but I know it was a bunch of shoveling. We shovel, go in and come back and shovel again.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, they helping us out. Oh, it was 2010. Okay. 96. Yeah, I'm talking about after that one. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Portia. All right. They coming in. Thank you. My goodness. Yeah, so we really couldn't make it here on that kind of snow because that just shuts us down. Yeah. Not having it. Woo! Hey, Missy. I'm loving your new hair, Dawn.
Oh, mine?
Yeah, didn't you go all black now? I was like,
I did. It's darker, yeah, and I'm trying to let it grow out. So I'm gonna be wearing this headband thing, because it's looking all crazy.
Well, we don't see crazy, we see cute.
Okay.
We see cute.
Thank you.
Okay. Look, we all trying to grow our hair, right?
I was like, it's time for something different. I've worn my hair short for a long time. I've had it long a couple of times, but I was like, it's just time for a change. So
It's time for a change.
yeah,
I'm with you on that one now. It's definitely time for a change. Um, especially with so much going on.
yes,
I mean, you couldn't have told me that I would be living through a pandemic.
I know.
I would
Well,
have
and
been. I've been
the
like, you
whole
crazy. What you talking about?
yeah, yeah, and now we got to deal with the potential war issue. That's crazy in itself too. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got to stay prayed up, right?
yes, absolutely.
Most definitely. Ooh, okay. So look, we got a good number. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you all for chiming and jumping right on. I appreciate that. Um, I am drLaShonne. I'm the founder of Embrace the Change. At Embrace the Change, we uplift, encourage, and empower you to embrace your change. Welcome to Shifting Mindset Live Show. Bam! Oh, my mother's here. How you doing? All right. Um, and I'm excited about what God is doing in this season, what's happening. And this month, we have been talking about forgiveness. We've been doing a series on forgiveness. So, on the first show, was it the third? Okay, I should have kept the dates together. But the first show we had 2 weeks ago was the journey of forgiveness. And I tell you, that Portia, she had the nerve to come up in here and talk about the journey. Mm, mm, mm. Oh, but tonight we are getting into when you don't get an apology. Now, I don't know about you all, but there have been times when I have not gotten an apology. And I knew I was due a whole apology, whole entire apology, not apology, and I did not get it. So what do you do? Okay. So I have the pleasure and the honor of having Dawn Phillips, my goodness, my sister, my friend. I love her so much. I can't hug her because she not up to she's not around the Beltway anymore. She shifted from the East Coast and now she's over in Colorado. Brr, God bless you.
when it's not snowing, it's nice. I mean, it could be like 45 degrees and you can wear a t-shirt. So there's give and takes to it.
Okay. And it's beautiful because some of the pictures you share, I'm like, oh, that's just beautiful. I need to make my way out there and
Yep,
just, oh my goodness. So I tell you, and Dawn, a wife, a mother, and how many grandbabies you have?
9.
9 beautiful grandchildren. Oh my God, I said babies, but they not all babies. They not. That's just me being that motherly thing. But oh my goodness, beautiful grandchildren.
Yeah.
Um, she rides a motorcycle, her and her husband, and she's an author of is it one book or two books? I know that, and a journal. Was it two?
Yeah, so the one book, and then a journal, and I'm currently doing a collaboration with 6 other women on a book that will come out in June on in Earned and Not Given, and it's basically us sharing our experiences in the motorcycle community. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, that sounds interesting. All
Mhm.
right. Okay. Okay. And she has a monthly article that she writes as well. So we have another writer here on the stage. Yes, yes.
Love it.
And I'm just ecstatic to have you here. Give us a hello, and then we're going to jump into this conversation.
All right. Well, hello. I am Dawn, and just moved to Colorado about 5 months ago. Took a job opportunity out here, and actually, my husband and I had considered moving out here when we retire in about 4 years. But when a door opens, I was ready to run right through it. And so I'm blessed that God gave us the opportunity to move forward, and just being out here alleviated some of the stress factors that I was experiencing at my previous job. And so I'm in a much better place, and I like the fact that they focus on health and wellness out here, and just overall well-being. And I just feel like it's the place that I was intended to be. So I'm very, very happy that I'm here, and I'm happy to be on the show.
Amen. Amen. That's good. Well, thank you so much. So, hey, we're going to jump in when I don't get an apology. And I'm going to tell y'all, look, I had gotten, sorry, mouth got a little dry there. I had gotten this analogy, and the analogy was, um, when you hold a grudge and you holding that grudge waiting for an apology. And that's equivalent to like somebody holding their breath, waiting for somebody to, point them out, or, you're trying to prove a point. And they're standing there holding their breath like little kids would do. They just stand there and hold their breath like, I dare you, I wish you would, hurry up. And but it's equivalent to that. It's like you're holding your breath, waiting to prove a point, and it doesn't happen. And the person standing there holding their breath, what happens? They fall out, or after a while they just exhale because they can't hold their breath any longer. But they are the ones that are miserable. They are the ones that are hit with this. So the person that that has done whatever, they're clueless. They've gone about their business. They don't even know. They've gone on. They're not even suffering.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay, go ahead, Dawn. Take it away.
I have two things that I want to share.
Mm-hmm.
First one is, it's kind of weird with me. My forgiveness, without receiving an apology, is in relation to my family, which has made it a little more difficult. Um, some people are familiar with my story as far as my dad. The fact that I had to forgive my dad, um, even I guess after his death, because I didn't get a letter from my dad until after he had passed away that basically, told me how proud he was of me and things of that nature. And so, you know, I had to forgive my dad for everything that he put me through, while he was still alive. And I didn't get that apology. I didn't get that letter, until after he was gone. And so that was a hard pill to swallow for me, because I wasn't even sure how to react, when I did get the letter, because it was like, wow, we're never going to have that conversation, and so it was difficult for me. It was very emotional, but I'm thankful that I was able to forgive my dad without actually hearing those words from his mouth. Um, I always used to tell myself, regardless of the situation, he was still my dad. Um, and it took a lot out of me to get to a point, that I was willing to forgive him without, um, not necessarily making amends. I mean, we did have a fairly decent relationship before he passed, but it could have just been a whole lot better. So, um, that was one experience. And then my uncle, he's my only uncle, my mom's brother. He got upset with me several years ago. I would probably say at least 6, 7 years ago now. He was helping me financially with, I was trying to get grandparent rights or custody of my one grandson.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he helped me out financially. And then he found out that my daughter was going to move to another state, to move to Georgia. And I was in agreement with it because she was wanting to change her environment, try to make a better situation, with herself. And for whatever reason, he got upset with me to the point where he stopped talking to me. Like, he literally stopped communicating with me.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't understand why. So I let it go for a while. And I have reached out to him through email, just to talk to him. And when he responded, it was in a very negative way. He said that, he could not forgive me. And I was thinking, forgive me for what? I didn't do anything. And so I was like, why is he saying he can't forgive me? So I let that slide. And then a couple years after that, I thought, you know what? Let me reach out to him again. I'm going to be the bigger person.
Mm-hmm.
I already tried being the bigger person once, but I said, this is my uncle. This is family. I'm going to try to reach out again. So I did. And this was actually, it was just recently. So I wrote him an email and I was telling him about, I had moved to Colorado. I had gotten a new job. My life is really good. That I had, wrote this book and I'm, a life coach, just telling him a lot of, positive things, about what had been going on in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically responded back and said that he didn't want anything to do with me. And that just kind of crushed my spirit for a moment, because I was like, I didn't do anything, and I even said in the email, I said, if I've done something to offend you or to make you upset, I apologize. I was even willing to go that far. So after that, I said, you know what? I just need to let it go. I'm not going to be able to make amends with my uncle for whatever reason. And I had to look at it from a different lens. And I had to look at it from, that was not me, that was him. And he has to live with that decision. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
In my heart of hearts, I know that I didn't do anything directly wrong to him. And even if I did, I don't see how it was so major that he would basically cut me out of his world. So yeah, I just basically had to look at it from, that's him, it's not me. And so you just kind of have to let it go, let go and let God, so to speak, because I think a lot of people tend to internalize things as well, and start trying to question, what did I do? Sometimes you even think, what did I do? And you not necessarily did anything wrong, but this person has an issue with you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn to not take it personally. Put it back on them, and so that's kind of my issue, as far as I don't get many apologies, from people, and that used to bother me quite a bit, because when you know that you haven't done anything wrong, or the person hasn't actually come to you and said, this is why I'm upset with you, can't even try to correct it.
Right.
You just go. Because if you don't, you're going to end up really harboring, like you said, you harbor things inside, anger, resentment and hurt and all that. And it only hurts you and it doesn't help you. And so you got to just let it go. And you have to tell yourself, it's not me, it's them. And, I told he's losing out, he's losing out on, a relationship with his niece. He's losing out on a relationship with, I mean, he doesn't even really talk to my kids, and so you just gotta let it go sometimes, and just that's all I can say, as far as that. But it hurts when it's your family. I mean, it hurts, period,
It
but
hurts. Yeah.
family, it really hurts.
It's so tough. And one thing you said that kind of stood out, and that is you can't let it get to you.
Mm-mm.
And I tell you, that's one of the hardest parts. How does one condition their mind to not let, because sometimes what I found is that it's almost like a record player, like the enemy's kind of sitting on your shoulder. You seen those little TV shows where you had the angel on one side and little small enemy on the other side, and it's like you hear this, playing the same record over and over again, just reminding you this happened, this happened, this happened. This. How does one just break that record or totally get it out of their mind so they're not, get past it? This is tough.
It's very tough, and it's very upsetting. But you have to get to a point where you have to let it go. And for me, it's easier for me to flip it, I guess, is a way to interpret that. As far as, I had to really talk to myself, and I had to say it wasn't me. I had to keep reminding,
Mm,
it wasn't me, it's them. My
mm,
daughter, for example, I have been my daughter's number one supporter since the day she was born. Her father was not in her life. Um, Back about 6, 7 months ago, she all of a sudden decided she wasn't going to talk to me anymore. Um, I don't know why. Again, it was out of the blue. She deleted me off of Facebook, and she just stopped talking to me altogether.
wow.
And it was very hurtful, because I have, always encouraged her and looked out for her and just supported her in every capacity, any way possible. And for my only daughter to just kind of turn her back on me, it was very hurtful. But based on my prior experiences with some similar, situations, I refused to take it personally. I refused to give in. And I said to myself, I will not speak to her as hard as it was until she gives me an apology.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently, she texted me with a very sincere apology. Text message wasn't very personal. But again, for 5 months, I went through a period where I didn't talk to my daughter. We went to Maryland. We drove to Maryland to pick up the motorcycles,
Mm-hmm.
and she was supposed to bring the kids by the hotel so that I could see them for Christmas. She didn't show up. So there was things that were hurtful, because there was, my grandkids were involved as well. But again, you just have to protect your peace, and you have to protect yourself and your feelings at all costs.
Wow.
Um, Family or not, you know, you have to get to a point in your life where you have to stop taking on other people's um, faults, so to speak.
You're saying
Because
something right there. Not taking on other people's stuff,
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
And I have found my own self to do that, because I'm trying to figure out, okay, what did I do? What did I say? Did I look the wrong way? And then I'm playing it back over my head, the whole situation, and like, okay, did I say it the wrong? What, did I have a tone in my voice? I don't know, evaluating everything.
yeah.
What did I do? Checking
And,
me
and
first.
right, and 9 times out of 10, you have done nothing wrong, and it's something that they're dealing with. And like my daughter, she's going through a thing where she's separated. So I get it. I get the fact that you're probably stressed out. You're now in your own place and you're probably struggling financially and things of that nature. But you took it out on the wrong person.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing that I was like, I refuse. And so you have to kind of, I'm not going to say you have to put up a wall, but you have to put up that barrier, so to speak, and you have to be able to, put on that breastplate, and just ricochet those things that are coming at you and just let them bounce off. Because at the end of the day, if the person is not willing to come to you and tell you, this is why I have an issue with you, then you know what? I didn't do anything wrong. I don't deserve this. That's another thing that you need to tell yourself. I do not deserve this. I
Yeah.
will not allow this person to treat me the way that they're treating me.
Mm-hmm.
It goes along with setting boundaries as well. That kind of falls into, that whole category.
That's true. We do not deserve this, and setting boundaries is a must. I remember doing a teaching on that we definitely have to put the boundaries up. And even though I was talking on a whole different topic, is yet relevant for many situations in life, to where having those boundaries are necessary for our own sanity's sake. Because, as you said, we have to maintain our own peace. That
Absolutely.
is a must. The cost of my peace, oh, the cost of
That
my joy, and oh my goodness. Okay, I can't even describe it, but it hmm,
it's true. I mean, if
yeah.
you let people get in your space, to the point where they're disrupting your joy and your peace, then that's when you really need to do more of a self-evaluation and try to figure out why,
Mm,
because you shouldn't allow anybody to interrupt your peace. Nowadays, peace is so essential, and people are angry, and they're angry for no reason a lot of times. And
mhm,
you just have to be willing to accept that people have issues, and sometimes the issue is not directly related to you. um and that's it. And sometimes you have to let those people go. I mean, if you're not going to get an apology, then maybe that person's maybe that person's not meant to be in your life in the capacity that you thought they were supposed to be in your
mhm. Yeah, that's a very good point. I know one. I was having a situation with my father a while back, and we went maybe a year without speaking. And we went to dinner. We met for dinner, and I said, "Well, why won't you call me? Why haven't I heard from you?" Just trying to get all some questions answered. And he said, "I don't know."
life.
He could not give me an answer. And so, just want to say to people that sometimes you may have an opportunity to even face that person, but they yet may not be able to give you the answer that you're looking for.
Yep.
I was face to face and I still could not get a solid answer. It was, I don't know.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, so now
Yeah.
what do I do? So I asked myself, okay, okay, LaShonne, what you gonna do now?
But you have to be willing, and you have to be prepared for that answer, regardless of what it is, because, like, as you say, it may not necessarily be the answer that you wanted to hear, but
Hmm.
it was something, you
Yeah,
know.
I got a response, but it wasn't the answer I
Right,
wanted to hear.
right.
And so, yeah, so now I get it. But at the moment, I was speechless. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah. I think everybody's initial reaction, like, going back to my uncle, when I read the really nasty response that he sent back to me by email, um it got to me, but thankfully, my husband was there at the time that I read it. And he's always kind of good at put me back on track, so to speak, because I'm a very emotional person, by nature. And so, he keeps it real with me, even though sometimes I don't necessarily want to hear what he has to say, but it's the truth.
Mhm.
And it's always helpful advice. And
Mhm.
so for me, it's always helped me to not internalize everything,
Mhm.
because I think that when you come from a background, like my background was of a place where, I had the domestic violence, I didn't have a relationship with my dad. And so me by nature, I'm always looking for acceptance, from people.
Mhm.
Um, and when I don't get it, it would upset me. Okay, well, why doesn't this person like me? Or
Mhm.
whatever the case is. But I had to get away from that, because I'm not everybody's gonna like me, and not everybody's my friend. And so I can't focus on the people that don't like me or that do have an issue with me,
That's
and
right.
really just focus on on myself. And
Mhm.
I truly believe that the right ones will be in my circle, so to speak, and the bad ones and the ones that aren't supposed to be, those will continue to weed out. But yeah, I would have, the advice that I would give, to somebody is to stop trying to figure out why somebody doesn't like you, and stop trying to figure out why they're not willing to give you that answer that you wanted to hear, or that apology, because
Mhm.
they very well never get it.
You may very well never get that apology. And you got to forgive yourself. You have to forgive. So I saw one of the comments here, and that's so true. You have to forgive yourself. Um, and it's for the sake of your peace,
Yep.
because at some point you have to move on,
Yep.
because if not, it'll keep you at a low place. It'll keep you sitting there wandering, going around this little circle, and it's like, oh my goodness, am I ever going to get off this merry-go-round?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some, and the sad part is some people don't ever make it off the merry-go-round. They're afraid to take the jump. And taking the jump won't destroy you. It won't kill you, but it there may be some scrapes, because it's spinning, right? You might scrape your knee. I know I used to love the merry-go-round, but I would scrape my knee. But it was still fun. But anyway,
Yeah.
we have to be able to take that step, and that's the hard part. But making our mind up, and I think that was the key for me, was when I said, "Okay, LaShonne, what you gonna do? You decided, okay, you not getting, he's you doing all the calling, he not calling, so you decide, all right, I'm not gonna call until he calls. So y'all ain't talked for a whole year. Now you having dinner. Now you didn't get the answer you want. Now, so what you gonna do? What you gonna do now?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to decide, oh, okay, am I gonna hold on to this thing? And then everything else that came prior to it, or that's not gonna keep me in a good place,
No.
holding
No.
on to disappointment and all this other stuff. No, it's time to move on. It's time to advance. And there are times when we would hold on to the past, hold on to that disappointment, whether it was a parent, whether it was your partner, your spouse, whomever, right? We gotta let that go. And I know saying the words "let it go" doesn't mean it's easy, but the work is necessary
Absolutely.
in order to get on to the next place. The work is necessary.
Well, and you have to set yourself free. because that's what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
you holding yourself in bondage when you let that stuff fester inside, and another thing that I think is important is, I talk about other things off topic, but it's related. You have to love yourself.
Mhm.
Whoever had made the comment about forgiving yourself, well, loving yourself is just as important,
Yes.
because if you don't love yourself, then you're not going to feel like you're worthy of love, and then you're just going to let things bother you, or people do things to you and things of that nature. And so in order to be truly free,
Mhm.
and free from past pain, that's in the title of my book, you have to let go. it, there
Mhm.
there's no there's no other way around it. And it's hard. Some relationships are just not going to be mendable, um, and you have to be willing to say to yourself, I forgive that person, even though you have no idea why why you're forgiving this person in the first place. How did you even get to that point? Because
Mhm.
you drive yourself crazy trying to figure out the why. Sometimes you need to let that why just let it be.
Just let it be. Yeah. You may never get the why. I know I
No.
didn't. I didn't get the why. It's like I don't know. I was like, what? Did he just
Yeah.
tell me I don't know? I was like, what did you say?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know. I said, you don't know? He said, I don't know. Okay. I mean, I didn't be disrespectful, but I was like, you don't know? Okay. All right. All right. had to just back up. Just okay.
But you know what, though? Sometimes they don't know.
And that's what I
Sometimes
was getting ready to get into. Sometimes they just don't know,
they don't.
because what I found is that sometimes a person's their own life can be so much that they're engulfed with, that they don't they can't even think beyond that.
Yep.
So, he was with his current wife and, his two sons, and, it's on and on, right? A whole nother dynamic. So it was a lot going on. I
Yeah.
I wasn't privy to all of that, but it was like, oh, okay. So some people just didn't have probably just had a mental capacity just to think of just outside of that, right? Just one more thing.
Right.
Like, oh, okay. And
Yeah.
so now I gotta check on
Yeah.
her too.
Well,
Whew.
and sometimes
Whew.
sometimes it is like that, because, and I went through that about a year ago. Well, when the pandemic first started,
Mhm.
and the fact that I did telework at home, but my job was so stressful and so hectic, and there was so much going on in my life at that particular moment. There was a couple of people that really didn't understand that I don't have time to sit and talk to you on the phone for 30 minutes. I'm not going to be the one that's going to pick up the phone. It's nothing personal. It's just how my life is structured right now. And
Right.
so, like you said, some people can't get away from that. Well, I can't think about anything but myself, and I don't understand why she's not doing this and she's not doing that. Instead of trying to um, maybe be compassionate about what I could possibly be going through,
Yeah.
versus and it's kind of hard for me
Mhm.
to do it, but I
I
kind of
get what you're
feel.
saying. I could say, "Hey, sis, haven't heard from you in a while. Just checking on you.
Yeah.
Hope all is well. Love and prayers." You
Yeah.
know, and you know
Yeah.
what? Sometimes it's nothing.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just a season where I just want to be quiet,
Yep.
because my job, let me tell you, I'm working and talking. I'm on all day for 8 whatever hours I'm doing. I am on. It's like, LaShonne, can we just LaShonne, just so
Yeah.
I'm not complaining, but I'm taking care of stuff all day long. I'm either taking care of something, I'm fixing something, I'm responding to something, I'm making calls, I'm getting calls. So there are times it's just, I want to just be quiet.
Yeah.
And it ain't nothing personal. I'm not trying to think about, oh, okay, I didn't talk for 8, 9 hours. Let me see who I can call. What?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
No.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, and it's really it's hard because like even with my dad, it was hard forgiving him because again, I want to, revert back to us taking things personally and internalizing and making it, why me, type situation instead of looking at it sometimes from a bigger picture where I didn't know, when my dad was growing up, he didn't have a dad in the household and, his mom didn't really care too much about him. And, a lot of times he was, fending for himself, and in the streets and just this whole history of, his childhood. And that carried forward into the way he had a relationship with me and my brother. But, when you're going through something, you don't want to hear that. You're just like, well, he treats me bad and he does this and he does that. But a lot of times we're not willing to um, try to understand how that other person how their life has been, because sometimes the way they are is a direct reflection of something that's inadvertently affecting them, and maybe they don't even realize because they don't know any better.
That's a true statement. Because now that you say that, my father, his father wasn't around, and so he didn't know how to be a good father
Yeah.
because he didn't have an example of a father being around. So his dad wasn't around. So when it came time to be a father to me, he didn't know how to be a father.
Mm-mm.
And it was like, oh, so now, we just bless God for being God, and he salvation, etc., and giving just that clarity and that understanding. And it's like, oh, so now I'm looking at it from a whole nother lens. And I'm
Exactly.
like, oh, okay. So he didn't have one. So he didn't have an example. So he's doing the best that he can. He's just really trying to figure this thing out. So
Yeah.
it's going to take you to break this thing so this doesn't happen then to your children. Ah, okay.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, at some point, somebody has to break the cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and that. But again, you have to, like the whole title of the show, when you don't get an apology, sometimes you have to look at it from a different lens. And, I can't emphasize enough, you cannot take it personal because everybody has their own demons that they fight, and everybody has a different background and a different upbringing, and people are affected differently by different things. And there's a lot of different factors that come into play when somebody mistreats you,
Mm-hmm.
and just have to keep telling yourself, it's not me. I mean, even if you have to repeat that as a daily affirmation, it's not me. And that's that's what helped me get through a lot of that stuff. Is I just had to focus on the fact that they have to live with it, not me.
Yes. Yes. And there are two keys you brought out, and that is we got to break that cycle. Once we recognize it, that means we have to break the cycle because it was brought to our attention.
Yep.
So we got to do something different
Yeah.
in order for so it won't happen again. And I make sure that I'm doing just that. I'm making sure that I'm telling my son, look, hey, this is what needs to happen.
Right.
But we have to be the one to stand up and make it so. And the other, breaking that cycle is crucial.
Absolutely.
And then, so what does that do? Now that gives him the strength to now walk in the assurity, know who he is. He's not looking for validation from other things or people or waiting for, and taking up. How does he feel? Walking with that strength, all of those different things. So now, all the things that I had gone through because my father wasn't there. No, we're gonna make sure. Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because I look at my own kids a lot, and I look at my daughter who is now, in a single parent situation, 3 kids, same as myself. And so it's kind of like, wow, and when I sit back and I really think about it, I'm like, she's walking in my shoes right now,
Mm-hmm.
because that was me, back when I was her age, exactly when I was her age.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, when she got upset with me, that's when I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to be hands off. I'm taking a step back. I'm going to let her do her. And then just prayerfully, eventually, hopefully she'll come around. And she did. I mean, it took like 6 months, but, we've talked a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. So again, you may not necessarily know the other person's circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, I'm not saying in all cases, but sometimes you really need to take that into consideration, for the reason why
Yes.
they're acting the way that they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And something key you said was that you could see that she's walking in your shoes. It's like almost step for step in a sense. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But but the difference is that she has you and
But I
you've
don't
walked through it.
but I think it took her 6 months to realize that I am actually here for her, and so, I guess she was going through a phase where she was trying to be the independent thing, and handle it on her own. But at the end of the day, you need your mom, but yeah, it's not something that I wished on her or wanted her to experience, because it was a bad experience for me. But again, sometimes you just need to be willing to just take that step back, and pray a lot. you
Mhm.
know Prayer gets you through a lot, just because a lot of times, you tend to want to take things personally, and you just can't do it.
Right. And I'm gonna share this. There was a time in my 20s and I was going through some stuff. I had already moved out. I was, living, had a roommate, etc., doing my own thing. And it was a season when I didn't fool with my family at all. Period. And I don't know. I can't explain it, but it was just like I had enough and it was like boom. But it's something about it didn't mean I didn't love my family. It didn't mean if they needed me, I wouldn't be there. But it's something about there are times in your life when it's like, you know what? I just got to shut it all down. And sometimes it reminds me of when I'm working on these computers and the network and stuff. Sometimes it just needs a hard reboot. Sometimes just trying to, restart the application is not enough. We got to shut it all the way down, close everything and shut and don't cut it back on because I have to tell them, no, let it sit for go get you some coffee and come back. And then we're gonna do it again.
Yeah.
But that did something for me. And it allowed me to get in, get more about me.
Right.
And then when I did, oh my goodness, then it was like, oh, okay. I can't quite put it into words, but it was what I needed at that time. And then
Absolutely.
and then I was able to be like, "Oh, okay. Now let's do this."
Yeah, and each person has their own individual experience, and everybody has different coping, mechanisms. And for her, hers was she shut certain people out, and even though that was a hard pill for me to swallow, I had to respect that, and so I had to just basically sit back and wait on her, as hard as it was. But yeah, I've had those periods too where, and I think within the last couple of years more so than anything, I've had a lot of periods where I don't want to be bothered with people. I'm just focusing. I'm very focused and very driven right now on things that I have on my plate, things that I have. I'm finishing my degree, in psychology. I'm going through a certification for, functional nutrition. I'm doing all these things, and then picking up the phone to call somebody to talk for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour is just not something that's going to be at the forefront of my mind. And people just need to understand, sometimes people need their space, for whatever reason they feel like they need it. And like you said, that reboot, sometimes it's necessary.
It is
After
so
my
necessary.
yeah, after my separation, I had a 3-year hiatus, so to
Mhm.
speak. Really did,
Mhm.
because it allowed me to really focus on Dawn and not focus on everybody else and everything else. And so I completely agree with the recharge thing.
Yes. Oh, see, you touched on something else. I'm going to say that for another show. Whenever you go through that separation, you must shut down for at least a minimum a year.
Oh yeah.
But that's a whole nother show. I'm not gonna go
Oh
there
yeah.
tonight. But more
Yeah.
to come on that one.
Yeah.
But definitely some great points. And the other thing is that um, being okay. So we talked about being okay with not getting the apology. Because as I was saying, right, face to face with my father, he was like, I don't know, right? I didn't get an answer. But then I'm feeling like I've gotten over some things. I'm able to look through a lens and see, oh, okay, well, he didn't have a father present, so I'm seeing a pattern, right? But then obviously there was just a little bit of something else still yet there. So then later, so my father's deceased now. I've been for quite a while. And I went to the cemetery, and I didn't know what I was gonna say. I just went and I stood there, and then I just started talking. I just said, you know what? I forgive you for all the times that you weren't there, all the times that you disappointed, all this, and I just went down a list, whatever came to my mind. And I just began to cry. And I'm telling you, I said,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah.
That was like the final, right? And I said, okay, I got it. So this series of forgiveness is what like we started 2 weeks ago. It's a journey.
Yes.
And so where I saw, okay, well, all right, my father can't tell me, all right, so what I'm gonna do, right? I gotta let that go. I can't hold on to that. But knowing and continue to move on. But forgiveness, it's a journey.
Yeah, and it's an essential part of the process, because you can't, like with it, we have, I guess, a similar situation with our fathers. I guess, I commend you for what you did, in terms of being, going to the grave, because I didn't even have that opportunity. It was like I forgave him, I guess within my heart, but for it to actually come out of my mouth, that never happened,
Mhm.
and so I think it's essential, and like you said, it's a journey, and it may just start out being words. And sometimes those words, I forgive you, do not resonate, until you said them several times,
Mhm.
and you may have to say it more than once, in
Mhm.
order for you to really feel like you've truly forgiven somebody.
Mhm. And when you do forgive, you know, so when you do forgive, so now you can see that person and you don't have this cringe feeling. Or now their name can pop up on your phone, ring or a text, and you're not ready to just sit there and get your phone and be like, I'm gonna text them right back right now. And now they got the talk, that you can talk to text, you can hit the microphone and I'm gonna get it out quick. You don't have to do any of that
No.
because, and I'm telling you, the Father has just shown me so many areas of forgiveness in my life where it's like, wow, now I can look back and say, oh, God, you are amazing. Where at
Absolutely.
one point, it was this one person, it was just like, oh, you know what? I cannot stand this person. But I can't even say that anymore. I have
Yeah.
nothing but love. And, but being okay, being to the point to where I'm honest about my feelings. Not that we say we hate people, right? But we should love everybody, of course. But I had to hone in on my feelings. So then now I know what to do and can then now I got to get rid of this thing. Now I
Yeah.
know what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Woo.
Because we're human, and we are going to have those emotions, and they're not all going to be peaches and cream and flowers and whatever. I mean,
Mhm.
when somebody wrongs you or hurts you, then you're going to be feeling some type of way,
Mhm.
against that person. But, you know, don't let it persist. Have that moment where you be that human, because you are human, and then take that pause, and then just focus on getting back on track. And truly, you have to recognize your feelings. I mean, you can't just dismiss them, because
Mhm.
they're real. um but yeah, it's definitely a journey. And another thing that comes to my mind is, I think about all the times when I pray, that I ask God to forgive me of my sins. We
Mhm.
do that all the time, and
Yeah.
he forgives us, and so why should I be any different than that?
Mhm. That's right. Cuz he forgives us. And
All
I mean, oh, okay, the best example there is. Best example. And if we would just get to that place to just release that. And a lot of people are dealing with sickness, or
yeah,
because they're just holding in
yeah,
so much just grudge and unforgiveness, and it'll just eat away at your body.
it will.
It will eat away at your mind, your body. It'll just it'll hurt
Absolutely.
you. And it's easier just to, well, we say it's easier, but it's for your health, and it's for the best to forgive.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not going to
It's
be easy.
it's hey, it let me raise my hand.
It's not easy at all. If anybody tells you it's easy, I don't know, because it's not.
But
But
hmm,
it's essential
it is
for
very essential.
your overall health and well-being,
Hmm.
and it's a physical, and it's an emotional, it's a mental, like everything tied together. It will definitely have a trickling effect on everything. And so we want to take that chance, of sitting there and having your health deteriorate, or whatever the case is. Like maybe you have a sickness now, or do you want to let it go, and free yourself from that bondage, because that's
Yeah,
what it is, bondage.
it is. It's just holding you captive.
Yep.
And it's time to be free
Yep.
because there's so much more for us to do. We only get
Yep.
one life to live.
Yep.
And why live it in bondage? Why live it in a place to where your head is always down and you just thinking about, this thing on and on and on because you're in a low place. Because you're waiting on this one person or two, whomever, just for this apology.
Yeah.
No, just forgive them.
Yeah. Forgive them and let it go.
I'm gonna tell you, I stood there and I said, I forgive you, and I meant it. I said, I forgive you. No, how we talked earlier, breaking that cycle, them generational curses. Yep, we breaking all of that, all of that. We doing some new stuff, and we're
Yeah, and
not
you can
carrying
feel
that on.
no, and you feel lighter. You feel like you don't have that weight on your back, because that it just weighs down. Um, and it really affects people in more ways than they know.
Yeah, most definitely, it really does. Wow, where did the time go? Oh my goodness. I felt like we just kicked it in gear. My goodness, I tell you, hey, if anything, I want you all. Did you have any final remarks, Dawn?
I no, well, I would just encourage people, like I've said, repeatedly during during this live, is you've got to learn to let it go and set yourself free, because you are the only person that's holding yourself back from experiencing that freedom. It's not anybody else, it's you. And so, as hard as it is, you've just got to learn to let it go, make peace with it, and then that way, you'll be at peace with yourself, and you'll be able to experience true freedom. And I think that there's a lot of people that don't know how to experience that, the true feeling of being free from past pain.
Yes, I like that plug. That's the name. That's the name of her book. Free from past pain. That's the name of her book. Um, Most definitely, we must be free from past pain. And as Missy just put in here, let it go, 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 let it go. Yes, we must let it go because it's essential. And the forgiveness is for us
Yep,
because it'll free us.
absolutely.
And stop waiting around. The analogy I gave, stop waiting around like the little kid holding their breath, waiting for somebody, for their whole poise to change.
Because it may not
It's not, yeah. Don't, if yeah, it may not happen. So don't wait around for that.
happen. No.
Don't do it. You over there miserable.
Right. You wasting your life away.
You over there miserable. And they done gone on with life,
Yep.
don't even know what's going on.
Yep.
Especially I like what you brought out there was the time when you didn't know when you had that person when they say they can't forgive you, but you don't even know what from or what about, and you don't have a clue.
No.
We can't hold on to that either.
No.
And that's a tough one. We
Yes.
can't hold on to that one either. So, hey, What an awesome show this has been. Dawn, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I love you so much, sis.
I love you too, and thank you for thinking of me. As soon as you reached out and said something about forgiveness, I was like, oh, I got plenty to say about that. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, when you don't get that apology, just forgive and be free. Thank
Mm.
you all for joining us. Somebody put part two. Thank you all. Right? Thank you all for joining us for another Shifting Mindset show. Join us for our last show, which I believe is the 31st. And that show, we will be talking about forgiving myself.
Mm.
Ooh, wee. I
Mm.
know, I know, I know. That's the one. That's the one right there. Forgiving myself. Yep. All right.
Yeah, that's a toughie.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, we might need a few people on that show. All right. Until next time, thank you all so much. And see you in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you.